Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Good evening and welcome to Spaced Out Radio tonight as we kick off a brand new weekend, or brand new week, that is. And I hope you had an enjoyable weekend with our new host, Rob G. I thought he did a great job, and I hope you guys continue to support him the way you did this weekend. You were absolutely amazing. Tonight, Lon Strickler is here for another great show of Strange Days, and we're glad to have Lon join us momentarily. But first, let's say hello to all of you. We got Laura Lobbs in the gold medal position, Tim Mothman in his goatee with a silver, Race Fan with a bronze medal tonight, High Forest Louie and Caroline Start. How are you? And Raymond L., good to see you. Roy Boy, thanks for coming on in. And Stephanie Kenny Blankenship, nice to see you. Y Native, welcome back. And who else do we have? Cowboys 5 Rings and the lovely Amy WC. Amy will be continuing and signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio, if you don't mind, to the left of the studio. Kathy Evans and Alan Deegan, welcome to SOR Chat. Lisa C., The Ferret, Les Paul Holland, nice to have you all here. Paranormal Portal, welcome to SOR Chat. Thank you for joining us as we continue on with roll call tonight. Mr. Sam Sheeran, welcome to SOR Chat. Yeah, how's the art going, Sam? You are incredible with your artistry. Absolutely incredible. Coley, hi, Nicole. How are you? And there's Jenny White Bear and Susie B. Thank you for joining us. Brown Dwarf, good to have you here. Our favorite Marine, Black Dragon, thank you for your service as we continue on with roll call tonight. And who's up next? Ruth Kleber, nice to see you back. And who is up next? Doug Shelby is here. The Doug Shelby has arrived, which means we can officially start this show. And Jay Burke, nice to see you. Kevin D. Cohen, thank you for all coming in. And starting in goal tonight from Stockholm, Sweden, wearing number 1, Lars Janssen. Sabrina, thank you for coming on in. Gizmo, good to see you. Sandra Kincaid, thank you for joining us. Hi, Mexi97. And who else do we have here? Let's scroll on down. Paramarv, Nick Adkins. Nick Adkins will be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio, if you don't mind. To the right of the studio. T-Bone and Jessica S. Nice to see you. Millennium, my man. Escape from Blue Jersey. Just another guy named Harry. Good to have you all here. And there's the lovely and talented Kira. Always a pleasure to have you here, my dear. D. Cohen, or pardon me, D. Henderson. Thank you for joining us. Hi, Pam Harris. And little Cam 51 over on Twitch. Good to see you. Dirt Road, thank you for joining us. Hi, Stephen Edmond. Digger Dog, my man. Great pics you sent me earlier. Thank you. Matthew Gutka. And Deepocalypse, welcome to SOR Chat. Kurt M. Welshhammer. Luffy Pirate, nice to see you all. As we continue on with our roll call, there's Richard Elmore. Give us a wave, Richard. We always wave back. Forrest Louie, thank you for kicking off the Super Chat tonight. The Super Chat is a wonderful way to support what we do on a nightly basis. So thank you, Louie, for your love. And Big J, good to see you. Keyshawn Petgrave, nice to have you back. Lisa Bartoloni. And let's see here. Who else do we have? Silver Fox 1, welcome to SOR Chat. Rose Brooks, good to see you. And Cindy Pruitt, thank you for joining us. Let's get the radio side going now. so that way we can get Bill WD-40 into the chat room, so that way he can lube us up for tonight's show, because you always want to go into a show nice and smooth, if you know what I'm talking about. All right. And there's hi, Bill WD-40. That's beautiful, Bill WD-40. And we got 30 seconds here, so let's trounce on down and see what else we got here. And let's see. Got you all. Chris, welcome to SOR chat. Paula W., welcome back. We missed you, my dear. UFO Golden, welcome to SOR chat. And we got 5 seconds. Can we do this? More of this, more of that. Welcome to SOR chat. Do me a favor, everybody. Horns up. Let's rock. From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. You can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon, the SOR Space Travelers Club. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news, wire, check out our swag as well. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. We got a great show of information for you tonight. Lon Strickler from Phantoms and Monsters is going to be here momentarily. Then in hour number 3, we got a great story from Among the Missing and Steve Stockton, followed up by Little Timmy Senor and the UFO Report. Yes, it is that time of the month where we say hello to the man, the myth, and the bearded cryptid legend, Lon Strickler from phantomsandmonsters.com, where he joins us to talk about the monsters that walk among us each and every time on strange days. This is a continuing show that Lon's been doing for a couple years with us near the end of each month. And every time he's on here, the place is jam-packed in our chat room for people who have major questions about major sponsors and major advertisements of monsters that are walking among us. Yep, Lon has the direct path to all of these. You can find his books on phantomsandmonsters.com or on Amazon. The legend, Lon Strickler. How you doing, my friend? Good to see you back.
I'm doing okay, Dave. Good to be here, as always.
Yeah, I mean, I got so perplexed that you were coming on the show and it's so excited, I actually forgot my intro. So I had to make something up there, and I think I butchered it with the sponsor and everything, but
that's part of the game.
Don't tell anybody. Bad radio, bad start to this week. But nonetheless, Lon, it's always a pleasure to have you here, my man. And you know what? The spookiness keeps coming. It never ends. We're heading into Halloween month here pretty darn quick. And the stories of ghosts, ghouls, and goblins are going to be picking on up for everybody. Do you like this time of year where we start to get into October? And that's minus, my friend, minus all the talk about, certain drinks at Starbucks and Tim Hortons that have to do with Halloween. All the pumpkin spice people who come out at the year.
I was born right before Halloween, though it's never been one of my favorite holidays, to be honest with you. I just never really got it, I guess. Sure, I used to go out and do trick-or-treating and all that other crap back then when we were able to do it. But, I mean, it's, I like to change the seasons. That's probably my favorite part of this time of year. Because just like this year, so stinking hot, and we're going to get a little relief. But I shouldn't cry too much because it'll be 2 foot of snow in 3 months. So what am I saying?
Yeah, I know that feeling, man.
Yeah.
You know, the minute the leaves start falling here, everybody in my area, we're like, uh-oh, it's coming. It's coming.
Yeah.
You know, it's happening. And next thing you know, there's all this white crap on the ground, and it's there until April.
Yeah, I've never been a winter guy, and you know, all my friends and all used to go out camping and hiking in the wintertime. I tried to avoid it, to be honest with you. I'd rather do it in the summer or the spring or fall, but not the winter.
Well, you know what is coming up here very quickly is Canadian Thanksgiving. And that will be the 1-year anniversary of me, my son, and my 2 buddies, Mike and Mark, actually seeing that 10-foot Sasquatch away from us. And it's funny because we haven't had much time out there this year because our plans have kind of changed due to our ghost tour coming back at the local museum that we've been raising money for and just keep everybody updated. You know, we've done 4 tours and 2 private tours, and we've already raised almost $5,000 for the museum, just taking people on a ghostly adventure. And it's amazing how many people, man. Like usually we average 20 to 30 people on a tour night. We're getting 45, 50, 60 people. And when at the beginning, when I kind of go through a speech, you know, I always ask how many people have been here before. So on our last tour, we had 53 people, and only 5 of them had ever been on the tour before. So that means, you know, that people, you know, obviously think maybe we suck, you know, because they're not returning, or there's just so much more interest in the idea of the paranormal that people are curious.
Yeah, I think people are curious. I mean, you know, I know people are more open-minded than what they used to be. It's easier to get reports now. It's easier for people to open up more and more about what they experience. But that little curiosity part is always open. And I think when it comes to the paranormal, most people want to know what's going on. And, you know, if they show up, great.
Yes. And you know, I want to tell our audience just for a regular point, our museum here in town is beautiful. Okay, it's on a couple of acres. It's got about 9 buildings on it, 10 buildings on it, and it really tells the history of our area and the Gold Rush Trail. But the problem with our museum is it's one of the only museums in the province that is not government funded. So.
Really?
So that is why when I say like we volunteer to do it, we literally volunteer. We do not take a dime from the tour. We literally do it out of the goodness of our hearts because we love the place. It's in a beautiful area. And if you want to go check it out just to see what I'm talking about, all you got to do is Google a 108 mile historic site or museum site or museum society or whatever. All you got to do is check it on out, and it'll be right there for you, and you'll see how beautiful it really is and why we invest the time that we do to get in there. But you know, hey, sometimes you know, Lon, the way I look at it is you got to give back sometimes, and nobody was doing this. It was an interest that we have. You know, and hey, we get to kill 2 birds with 1 stone, no pun intended, where we get to have some fun ghost hunting, and we get to raise money for a good cause as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of fun to that. I mean, I like being involved with stuff like that as well. I mean, it's you know, it is satisfying.
Do you like paranormal tourism overall?
Honestly, no. and the reason I say that, and this is the real reason why I say that. Of course, I live near Gettysburg, right? So, you know, in the summertime, in the fall, they've got lines and lines of people up and down Baltimore Street because you got all these ghost hunting tour, you know, going on. And they do a night, mostly a nighttime tour in the town. It sucks because they can't go onto the battlefield at night. But I have tug along on a few of those, and it's pretty interesting how much they don't know and what they aren't telling people, and how much they embellish it. And that's a problem for me, particularly. You know, I know people are going to be entertained. They want to hear all the juicy stuff that happens or has happened. But yeah, I mean, it kind of bothers me, you know, and quite frankly, paranormal TV, I'm just never really been a big fan of paranormal TV. But, you know, that's just me. Of course, I know there are a lot of people that are really into it.
Yeah, and I don't blame people for being into it. You know, our area, Canada's a little bit different because we don't have a lot of paranormal tourism around here.
Yeah.
You know, we're literally, I mean, there's ghost walks and everything like that, but there's no real tour where somebody could come on and go through an actual paranormal investigation that they only see on TV. I have mixed feelings about it because I do agree with you. I think a lot of times we try and, you know, take advantage of the paranormal scene and the popularity of it to try and put money in the bank. But on the flip side, I look at it too, like for us, where we're not taking a dime on this, that everything, and I let everybody in our tour know that every dollar that they spend here goes straight to the museum. And, you know, it's helping. Like, for instance, at our museum, we have a Clydesdale barn that's probably 70 yards long.
Mm.
Okay. It's the biggest A-frame building in the world. And it's 120 years old, and it needs an assessment for its stability. And that assessment costs $25,000.
What?
Yeah, because it's such a big building, right? And it's sinking.
Oh.
So we have to, excuse me, we have to make sure that, considering that's one of our most haunted buildings, we have to make sure that building is safe for another 50 to 100 years.
Right.
So, I mean, we're, you know, everything we do now, it goes to help preserve that one barn, you know, and hopefully by next year we've raised enough in order to do that. You know, so I can understand doing it for things like that. But I
Mhm.
mean, there's a lot of places out there now, whether it's Waverly Hills, whether it's Gettysburg, whether it's Alcatraz, Bobby McGee's, or whatever it's called there. You know, they're doing it strictly for profit.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, and I had seen what some of these places in Gettysburg make. I mean, it's ridiculous money. I mean, that they're making off these tours. But yeah, it's big business. I think I counted 11 paranormal tours right there on Baltimore Street within a block and a half. It's like, it's that, you know, that's crazy. And, you know, they get a full tow every time. So.
Well, you know what? As long as the ghosts don't mind, I think that's okay. Because in the end, they're the ones we're bothering. And I'm
Right.
sure if they get mad at it, they'll let us know. They'll
Sure.
attack us. They'll do what they got to do from the ghostly side to, you know, really upset us. You know, but getting back to the whole Halloween adventure here, you know, there's going to be a lot more people who are talking about ghost stories
Mhm.
and haunted houses that they lived in, or haunted buildings that they you know, attended, or whatever it may be, maybe a haunted school or a haunted dorm room or something along that line. Do you look forward to all these new stories at this time of year that don't involve pumpkin spice?
Yeah. I mean, you know, I take everything, you know, and you're right. I think I think a lot of the stories that come around this time are recollections, like you said, going to college or being out with your high school friends and stuff, and something would happen. And they're probably the most interesting because it's something like they never really, expected. And for the most part, they have no idea now, even after all these years, what they went through or what they actually saw. So, yeah, I will get a lot of it. There's no doubt about that. But I look forward to it. I mean, I had picked up clients, just telling me what's going on. Thinking, maybe it might be some type of mundane haunting, and it turns out to be something entirely different. It happens.
Sam Sheeran in our chat room, for people who don't know him, he is literally one of the most talented artists when it comes to book covers. And he's done Lon's book covers and many others for David Weatherly. And he is one of the most incredible artist talents when it comes to anything cryptid, paranormal, supernatural. And we're glad to have him in our chat room tonight. He's like, what? I need to hear about that 10-foot Sasquatch. Well, the funny part about it is my buddy Mike, who was there that night, he's actually in the chat room with us right now on YouTube. So what it was is we found this spot about a year ago where it started on Mother's Day when I found a 13-inch print there. And we cast it, and we started going back there every couple of weeks, put up a gifting site. Nothing has ever moved at the gifting site except the mirror once. But there's some freaky things that happen in this area. And in this area, we have been scared out by something that you don't know what it is. You don't see it. You just feel it. And it's been weird there at times. We've had times where we're literally sitting there, and we don't have fireflies here or lightning bugs, but you'll see all of a sudden all these flashes of orbs of white and green and purple and red and blue lights in the trees. And our area has a very large, loud history of fairies. We've seen UFOs there. And then one day, it was Canadian Thanksgiving around October 8th last year, where my buddy Mark heard a tree snap, just a little branch snap in the distance. And we brought our flashlights up, and about 100 yards away, there was a giant 10-foot Sasquatch standing there. And we could see him very clearly. It was a clear night. It was the night before a full moon. And he was just standing there. And we called over our buddy Mike. And, Mike was having troubles kind of finding his way to us because it was dark out. There are no lights out there. We're 25 kilometers from town, or about 20 miles from town. And there's no other light. So we bring the flashlights back up, and now this thing is hunched down. Like it's kneeling down to try and, cover itself. And we decided that we were going to start taking a few steps closer to it, and as we started, it was the worst night, because Lon, this stuff always happens when you forget your best flashlights.
Oh, absolutely.
It can never happen when you are fully prepared. Right. So we have literally forgotten our best flashlights at home, and we bring them up, and all of a sudden this thing is gone. We don't know how it exited. If it would have exited to our left, it would have had to cross a logging road and then go up an embankment 8 feet. We would have seen it. If it went to our right, we would have heard it, because there was a bunch of fallen trees in between the birch trees that were growing there. We would have heard it climbing over the trees. Branches would have snapped. If it went forwards, we would have seen it. If it went backwards into the darkness, we would have watched it go backwards. We don't know how this thing exited. It was just gone.
Well, I hear it all too many times. I mean, very rarely does an eyewitness of a Sasquatch or even upright canine or dogman see the thing leave. Very rarely.
I don't know how this thing disappeared.
Well,
I really don't. I mean,
yeah. Well, I'm totally convinced that most cryptids have abilities that we just don't have. We have no concept of at this point. Yeah, I think they're a supernatural species. I honestly do.
Well, the funny part about it is my buddy Mike was out there alone waiting for us a couple nights ago, or a couple weeks, about a week ago. And I told him I was coming back, but my son did all of a sudden started not feeling very well. And I can't get a hold of him to say, "Hey, Mike, not making it. My little guy is not feeling too well." Okay. And he was out there and he was waiting for us. It was probably 9:30 around that time. And that's usually the time when things start heating up in that area. And all of a sudden he started uh, seeing the white orbs in the trees. And he started getting really uncomfortable, like he shouldn't be there. And I hope I'm telling this right because I know he's listening. And all of a sudden he is hearing like bipedal footsteps around him with some grunting and some huffing and some puffing. Can't see anything, but he's hearing it getting closer and closer, probably within 60 to 80 feet of him. All right. To the final point where he just said, "I gotta go. That's it. I'm done. Gotta go." But he got some really cool photos of orbs flying around. Now, I know there's a lot of people out there who don't like orbs. Okay. And yes, we know there's a lot of bugs in that area. There isn't a high amount of traffic, so there isn't a lot of dust. Okay. But these orbs were appearing right where those sounds were. And that's something that was interesting. What do you think of that, Lon?
I pretty well expect orb and light activity around sightings where there have been Bigfoot, even days later. I pretty well expect that now. It just has happened so many times. And another thing, other things that happen as well, just like disembodied sounds, like something walking through the woods, and it's not, you can't see it. Of course, the Glimmerman phenomena, which may be very similar to that as far as maybe some type of cloaking. But no, there's a lot of things. And, light anomalies are pretty common now. And, people are reporting them as well.
What do you think causes those orbs to manifest in strange areas?
Oh, it's all energy. Now, do these cryptids put out an energy? Can they manifest an energy? It's possible. I would believe, honestly, that if there's an area that has particular amount of light anomalies, it's either a portal nearby or there's some type of space anomaly or time anomaly that's near there. That we just don't know. People call them portal or whatever. I don't know, But I do believe that that there are areas where they will manifest that, and I've seen it. I've seen it. I've seen it in the woods. I've seen it in the homes. I've seen it, a lot of places. It's just not associated with spirit activity. It's connected with a lot of stuff that we just don't understand.
Well, that is true, man. That is true. And you know what, Lon, when we figure out that things don't understand, that's why we call you around here from phantomsandmonsters.com. The bearded wonder himself, Lon Strickler, coming on in to break it down. And when we get back from our break here at the bottom of the hour, there's some new stories that Lon is chasing around phantomsandmonsters.com. And I always look forward to getting into red-eyed humanoids, winged humanoids, and Bigfoot updates. Oh, this is going to be interesting. Stick around. We're going to get into some serious monster talk with the man himself, Lon Strickler, from phantomsandmonsters.com, right here on Spaced Out Radio's Strange Days. We are clear, my friend.
I like coming out and just talking about paranormal questions.
It's amazing. I went into 2 different places today during the day, and both times I go in there, hey, you're the ghost guy. You're the ghost guy. I'm like,
really?
yeah. I'm like, yeah, that's me. I'm the weirdo. I'm going to boot through here. I'm way behind here in the chat room. Hi, Lunar Sparkles. How's it going, Tina? Nice to see you. And who else do we have here that's hopped on in? Yeah, anytime, Sam Sheeran. You always have a way to speak. I would love to chat with you on this show. Your work is amazing. And let's see, Lucy Fur. Nice to see you again. Nancy Malcolm, thank you for that amazing super chat, along with W. Decker. La 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 la. Bright times 2. Mike Gizmo and Louie. Very much appreciate the love and support, guys. And who else has joined us here? April or Angel Song. Welcome to SOR chat. And scrolling on down. Random Gee. Look at that. We have a Random Gee in the chat room. Yep. Derek Galloway, nice to have you. I got your message, Derek. I couldn't respond. But thanks for the text message. Let's chat soon, okay? If you'd ever pick up your phone. Cable Guy Matt is here. And you know what happens, Lon, when Cable Guy Matt is here? If you hit him up, he will give you a free piece of autographed coaxial cable signed by Cable Guy Matt himself. Now, remember, folks, you cannot buy these in stores. Limit 1 per household. It's hilarious. We actually gave away coaxial cable for Cable Guy Matt at our last fan outing in Las Vegas. People are like, what am I supposed to do with this? It's autographed by Cable Guy Matt. You got to do it. Just treasure it. Griffin, how are you? Oh, God, I love Cable Guy Matt. Aussie Rob, how you doing? Everybody, if you could say a thought and prayer for Aussie Rob here. Okay. He just had an operation the other day where he actually had part of his left leg amputated. And we'd really appreciate if we could all send Aussie Rob some love and support and healing, because he really needs it right now from the Spaced Out Radio family. And we love you, Aussie Rob. Now I can't say how are your ham hocks doing. I can only say ham hock. All right. And I know you'll find that funny, so that's why I said it. But we love you, bud, and all the best in your healing up right now, okay? We're going to send you a bunch of love from everybody here in Spaced Out Radio Land. Danny Staten, how you doing? Good to see you. And little Tommy Fessler, how you doing, buddy? Great show earlier on Disclosure Tonight. Boz Monster, thanks for coming out. And let's see here. Who else we got? Knight Rider, good to have you back. And my goodness, every time I scroll on down, it jumps again. There's another 20 people there. Susan Ahern from the beautiful Provincetown, Massachusetts. She has a beautiful, beautiful store there with gems and rings and tarot cards, and very, very beautiful little store there. And I hope you're doing well, Susan Ahern. We love you and miss you. Okay. CS, nice to see you. And Canna Chef Chris, a good Canadian kid out of Windsor, Ontario, home of Ed Jovanovski, the 1994 first overall pick in the NHL draft. Bet you didn't think I would know that one, did you? Let's see here. He's a Spitfire, that guy. A real Spitfire. Northern Illinois Sasquatch researchers, how you doing? Good to see you. And I think we're caught up right now, buddy. Want to remind everybody to put May 10th through 12th on your calendar. Third annual fan party in Reno, Nevada. We're going to have more details coming soon on our website. So make sure you mark down the dates. We want to see you all there. And don't forget, you can join the SOR Space Travelers Club right now on Patreon. And hi, Free Your Mind. How you doing? Here we go. Second half hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone what am I trying to say here? I want to remind all of you, that's what I'm trying to say. I want to remind all of you that if you miss portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/spaced out radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and join the Space Travelers Club right now on Patreon. From the man, the myth, and the legend, Lon Strickler is back for Strange Days here on Spaced Out Radio. His website, phantomsandmonsters.com, where you can find a plethora of his books as well. My man, Lon, always good to have you here. Thank you for joining us.
Good to be here, Dave.
Thanks, Lon. Very much appreciate you as well. The one thing about Lon is I always try and make him laugh. Half the time it doesn't work, but because I don't think he gets.
Yeah, that's not easy either, to be honest with you.
Well, I'm just saying. You only know those East Coast Canadians. Toronto, Montreal, in that area. You don't know how us West Coasters work. But that's okay. Lon, you have an update on a really cool Bigfoot story that's on phantomsandmonsters.com right now. What's going on there?
Well, the Bigfoot stuff that's going on. Are you talking about the case we're working on down in Maryland?
Yes. I can read it to my audience if you want. On the evening of Monday, August 28th of this year, approximately 8 p.m. Eastern, the property resident captured a 4-minute video of a UFO hovering above the trees in the woods of southwest of the Horse Farm Research location in Cecil County, Maryland. This is the best light anomaly video that we have received at the location so far. The flashing and undulating anomaly displayed a red and white light. The witnesses stated that it lingered for several minutes and then eventually faded away. You got some great pictures on that, which can be found at phantomsandmonsters.com. A great friend of this show, Timothy Renner and Chad Redding, were at that same vicinity on August 12th during our on-location investigation. They both observed round light anomalies in the woods. As well, Timothy conducted a dowsing session nearby and experienced an event that he described as something that I would have never seen or experienced before. The wood dowsing rod was violently pulled towards the ground on 2 occasions, eventually snapping the wooden dowsing rod. We were astonished by this occurrence. The location has experienced a number of unexplained events, including several bipedal track lines throughout the farm. The horses have appeared alarmed by the activity, though it does seem that they are starting to become accustomed to it. The location also has an increased number of death incidents associated with it. We are planning to continue working on this location and hopefully find some answers as to why this activity has been prevalent, especially during the past several months. Now, Lon, this almost sounds like an East Coast Skinwalker Ranch type of area.
Well, I don't know to what extent we're getting into with this thing. We were down there about a month or so ago, and we really didn't see a whole lot. We were down there, but the incident with the Chad and Tim going down into the field further down. There's a swampy area down there, up into the woods, and they started experiencing light anomalies all throughout the woods. Now, the woman, the family who's living there is telling us that they're seeing lights and stuff, and they're seeing UFOs, and they haven't seen a Bigfoot or a canine. I think, honestly, that there's activity of both there. The track lines have been pretty interesting. Really long track lines. I'm talking like up 8 to 12 foot in stride. That's huge. Wow. And but when they went down to the woods, they went down to the end of the area down there, the field. Tim told Chad he was going to go ahead and do a dowsing rod session. Now, Tim's father is a dowser. He comes from a long line of dowsers, so he knows all that stuff. I've tried it, not too successfully, but I've tried it. But anyway, they were going through that specific area. And he was telling me how the different energies were kind of manifesting themselves. It was kind of weird. And he said he had the dowsing rod and it pulled it down. I mean, violently pulled it down. That he had never experienced that before. But the second time it did it, it literally snapped it in half. Now, you know, I don't know a whole lot about dowsing, and you know, I know what it's used for, water witching and all kinds of other things, but there's a lot of investigators that use that and other divination tools when they're on an investigation. And I have as well. Not dowsing per se, but other things. And that's pretty significant from what, I mean, when he came back up to the house and talked to me, I mean, he was really shook because he said, that's just never happened to me. I think he said he never even heard anything like that happening before. So anyway, about a week and a half later, that's when we got the video of the UFO. And as you can see, it's pretty interesting. I mean, this thing was in the evening. It was on the top. It was right on the top of the trees in the distance from the farm, and it was you know, flashing different color lights, mostly red and white. But it was just stationary. It was almost like it was sitting on the trees. But it was a pretty well done video. She caught almost most of it, you know, most of the activity. But now we are in the process, and we've been working on this a couple of weeks now. One of my remote viewer associates from days gone by, who's actually on the team, she lives in Australia, so she's got a team, and that she's put together, a worldwide team, and they've been working on this location. So hopefully we're going to get some information. We have had some. I had a conference call with for about 3 hours a couple of days ago, and there's a lot of stuff coming to light. But from what I'm being told so far, from what it sounds like, everything's connected. The UFOs, the cryptid activity, and whatever else is going on. And there's a death. Oh my God, that place is just full of death everywhere. It's palpable. You know, that's just like the cherry on top. So I don't know how that's going to play into what we're investigating, but it's there. You can tell it's there as soon as you walk on in there. So, yeah, so that's about where we are with that case. But, you know, it's an area, it's right by the Susquehanna River, just north of Havre de Grace, which is where the Chesapeake Bay starts. So it's where the Susquehanna enters into the Chesapeake Bay. And it's on the other side. It's on the eastern side, over in Cecil County. But that whole river, and I don't know if we talked about this before, but the Susquehanna River, for whatever reason, the amount of wildlife, and I'm just not talking cryptids, the amount of wildlife that is showing up there in more recent years is pretty astounding. I mean, we've had coyotes for 20, 30 years. That's, that's nothing new. There are more mountain lion sightings, and there are an exceptional amount of black bear sightings, which, when you get past the mountains, they rarely had come east. But black bear populations in the eastern part of the United States is just really booming, even up into the Maritimes. Even though I think they've already been up there, but it's here down in the United States, it's been pretty heavy. And just talking about Gettysburg, there have been bear sightings in Gettysburg. They had to take one out of the tree downtown a couple of weeks ago. So hanging around. But we're getting a lot of, I don't know if they're following game or what they're doing, but they're moving in, and it's just really weird. It just sends out a weird vibe altogether. Because, I have never, I've hunted these areas all my life, and I have never seen as much game now. I mean, then as it is now. It's very interesting.
Well, the interesting part that I see about it too, my friend, is this farm. We're always wondering, are there more Skinwalker Ranch type places out there? We've heard of Stardust Ranch. We've heard of Bradshaw Ranch. We've heard of, Blind Frog Ranch. And they all seem to, around that Uinta Basin, south into Arizona area. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But, I look at a lot of my instances and experiences happen at my friend's 10-acre farm. Okay, now we have another farm here in Maryland that you're talking about here, where there's cryptid activity, UFO activity. What's with this death thing that's going on there?
Well, it's a farm, and when an animal dies, and all they have are horses when they die, it's a pretty big hole they're filling up. So there've been several of those, but I just get the feeling that one section down there where they were actually dousing at has had a lot of death associated with it. Now, what it is, I don't know. I mean, are the burial grounds there, or is something to do with Native American, with indigenous people? I don't know. And it's very near a huge cemetery too. There's just death all around, So, but when you're driving up there, and I felt it when we were driving up. I mean, it's like a doorway opened up into another realm. It's that weird. So, like I said, I don't know how much that is associated with the phenomena that they are experiencing, or what they're telling us, or what we feel. But I think the remote view, when we start getting some more information out of that, start doing some deeper interpretation, I think we're going to come up with some answers. And quite frankly, that the RV, I look forward to having RVs done on cases, because it always does pick up some things that we just didn't realize or just didn't sense.
I can see that. Has there been a lot of paranormal activity on this property as well?
Not really. I mean, or not that they have noticed. Now they've lived there for 25 years. And I did ask about paranormal activity, hauntings and such. And the only thing they told me was a relative had died there, and that their energy may still be lingering. But other than that, it's nothing, farm wise.
Weird. Do they have any UFO landings, or just this light that seems to appear every now and again?
No landings that we know of, but when you start getting involved with cryptids and UFOs together, the reason behind what's going on. I mean, why they're showing up all of a sudden. And look, they've been there for all that period of time, and the activity they had just noticed the activity within the past couple of months. I mean, this isn't something that's been going on all the time. Just all for whatever reason just started out. The RV, and going back and looking at the RV, though we really don't have any determining factors yet, there is a mention in there about cryptids returning or checking up on, I forget how she stated it, checking up on something. And then she mentioned something about it being traditional land or familial land within, this population of either Bigfoot or canines. I honestly believe it's more canine activity than actual Bigfoot.
And what leads you to believe that?
It's just me, picking up on stuff. I just pick up on energy sometimes. It just leans toward one way or the other, then the other. As far as Bigfoot activity, yeah, it's possible, but I think we're dealing with something that may be other than a Bigfoot.
Well, you know what? It's going to be interesting to see, because it amazes me that once again, we're having all of these tracks of cryptid creatures, and then the UFOs start coming.
Yeah, that does happen a lot.
It makes me wonder what's all of a sudden turned the light switch on that property.
Yeah. Well, that's what we're going to try to find out. I mean, but for as long as they've been there and as long as the farm has been there, it did happen damn quick. So 2 months, 3 months, that's quick. So something happened. I don't know. I don't know exactly what it is, but I hope we'll find out.
I got to ask you, what are the owners like?
They're pretty normal. It's a woman and her daughter, and her brother lives there, but he's on the road a lot. So, the daughter's in her 20s and the mother's in her 50s or 60s. So, it's just normal. They love horses, and they go around buying horses and just keeping them as pets.
Okay, so but they're not like overly religious or
No.
into the phenomenon or
No.
or anything like that. This is brand new to them.
Yeah. Overall, it's brand new. The girl, she watches some paranormal TV, but it doesn't seem like she's using it as a trope as far as what she's describing as stuff. This is something different, and for it to just happen start happening a couple months ago. Yeah.
My goodness. That is, I would love to have that property. I'm not going to lie. I would love to have that property, Lon. I'm just waiting for something like that to happen, man. Waiting for something to happen. I think for anybody in our situation, that would be like to have your own investigative area where you don't have to travel out of town or anything. Are they excited? Are the owners excited by this? Are they scared by what's going on?
No, they just want stuff to go back to normal. They want an explanation as to why things are going on, why horses are scared all the time, and why they're seeing lights and tracks. And, they got an idea. I mean, we're not really leading them on with much. We're just kind of gathering the evidence, and we'll come up with what we come up with, and then we'll talk to them.
And how did it lead to you getting to this point?
Well, they first contacted MUFON because of the UFOs, and nobody showed up. And then they got a local group. I don't know if it was a regular paranormal group or it was a cryptid group. I think it was a paranormal group. So apparently they didn't, they weren't satisfied with the way they treated them. So as in many times, we end up getting a call, and you almost put Bigfoot, Mothman, or anything else up on Google now, I'm going to come up there. So that's how she found me.
Oh, wow. I mean, hey, Someone else's misstep equals out to your good location
Well,
for investigating.
that's what happened. That's why this whole Chicago thing started, because MUFON didn't want to talk. They didn't want to fool with it.
Four minutes
It is
to go.
what it is, man.
4 minutes to go here before we got to go to break. At the top of the hour, Lon Strickler and Strange Days continues here. Talk about the footprints. Why do you believe they're Dogman?
Just by the way they're shaped, the ones that could make a shape of, they just don't look right for. Now, of course, what's a Bigfoot print? It could be anything. I mean, it could be misshapen but I just get by the length, the narrowness, and the wide stride. I think it's upright canine. I think it's upright canine. And when you're getting 8 to 12 foot strides, that's almost a Bigfoot running.
No kidding.
Yeah.
How big are the footprints?
They're not that big. I'd say the one I can make out was probably 11 to 12 inches in length, pretty narrow all the way through the foot.
Juvenile.
I don't think it's Bigfoot. I just don't think the foot's right for a Bigfoot. I could be wrong, but I think it looks to me like a full grown upright canine. Now, what that is, I've never seen one. I can't really tell what is full grown, but I'm just saying it looks like something that's got some size to it. And, the foot shape is very similar to what we've seen before.
What's the difference for those of us who don't know between a big footprint and a bipedal canine?
Well, many times the Bigfoot print will be wide at top and have actual toes that'll show. The many times with the upright canine, and it can vary. It's usually a more narrow foot, but it's got 2 or 3 pads on it, and many times you'll be able to see an extension of the talons as it digs into the ground if they're pushing off that foot. But there is a difference. I mean, there's definitely a difference. And of course, when you do get a stride like that, and as exaggerated as it was, it's pretty apparent to me. I just don't think it was a Bigfoot. I think it was something other than that.
How long until you go back there?
We're going back the end of October. We're going to wait till the leaves drop a bit so we can get deeper into the woods. It's thick back there. We got to deal with the swamp too. So I don't know. I don't want to wait till it freezes, but I do want some of the vegetation to be going by the time we get back down there.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see where you want to be all alone. I mean, how big is this property?
25 acres, maybe.
Still
maybe a little bigger. Pretty good sized place. And there's other farms around it. There's some Amish places there. And the Amish have been moving down to Maryland like crazy. I mean, they're buying up farms left and right. But no, there's those other farms around there.
Lon, I'm going to get you to hold on right there because we are going to go to break here at the top of the hour. And hard to believe we're already through 1 hour of Strange Days tonight with the man, the myth, and the legend, Lon Strickler here from phantomsandmonsters.com. You can find any of his books at any major bookstore or on Amazon, or even better, at phantomsandmonsters.com. The bearded wonder, Lon Strickler, will be here for the next hour. We're going to get into winged humanoids. Are you kidding me? Humans with wings when we return on Spaced Out Radio Hour number 2. All right, my man, I am going to go put you in the green room here.
Yeah, I'm gonna be right back.
I'm going to step out for a second. I'm going to blow my nose. I'll be right back. All right, we are back. And did Dave's chair move? Please let me know. Lon, did my chair move?
No, I wasn't looking. Gotta warn me, man.
I know. Sometimes they say it moves. I don't know. 'Tis the season for the hauntings coming up. Yeah,
Yep.
It's amazing how many people out there think that hauntings only happen in October.
'Tis the season, huh?
'Tis the season for some hauntings with little Lon Strickler right here on Spaced Out Radio. Hi, Cat Chaser. Hold on. We got about 1 minute. Thank you tonight to Louie ×2, Gizmo, Lala ×2, Mike, W. Decker, Nancy, Kevin, and Debster for the amazing super chats. Very much appreciate the love and support. And don't forget, you can join the Space Travelers Club for as low as $5 a month by going to patreon.com/SOR_space_travelers_club. Yeah. Join it. We got 22 members. We need more. We do. Thank you, Becky, for being the latest space traveler. And here we go.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Here we go with hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate turning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Pilot. Pilot is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and you can join us on Patreon in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Now, we continue with Lon Strickler and Strange Days. Lon joins us from phantomsandmonsters.com, and we are going to get into another spooky story with Lon as he joins us each and every month here to talk about Strange Days. Lon, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Dave.
All right. Another weird story that you got here for us is apparently a winged humanoid reported over Evanston, Illinois. What was it? Going through public storage? You know, is it a storage locker auction? Or what's going on? Answer that question and I'll read the story.
Okay. We have had a couple of sightings near public storage places. I don't know why, but we have. I mean, that's all I can say to it. I don't know if there's a rhyme or reason for it. Maybe people are more observant while they're there. I don't know.
Well, let's read the story here.
Okay.
Says, hi, Lon. I decided to come forward and tell you about my early and most encounter. I've never told a soul about this, fearing that I would be rebuffed. My earliest experience was on a November 2014 night, approximately 9 p.m., and I was in my bed watching television. I was 17 years old and living at home with my parents and a younger brother in West Virginia. Directly above my bed were 3 windows with glass panels. The television was to the left of my bed. Suddenly, my attention was drawn to the floor approximately 4 feet from the desk my television was on. What I saw was a beam of light moving very quickly in small circles in one concentrated spot on my floor. The circle motions it made were not perfect. The best I could describe was that they were wobbly circles. The beam was solid, pure solid light, and approximately an inch or less wide. It was very thin. The color was pure white with some of of a bluish tinge around the outside of the beam. The beam itself was bright, but did not seem to emit any light beyond its edges. My room was not filled with light, only this beam. I watched the light for about 30 seconds, but I began to feel dread and fled my room in a state of total panic. I was not able to tell exactly which of the three windows the beam was aimed through, but assumed that it beamed straight into my room onto the wall parallel, it would have been 90 degrees. I would estimate that it hit my floor on a diagonal angle about 60 degrees. When I got downstairs, I looked outside to see any evidence of a craft. I have never, to my knowledge, witnessed a UFO, and there was none. There was no craft of any kind besides high-flying commercial planes. I did not tell anyone in my house about what I had seen. I wasn't sure if my mind was playing tricks on me or what had actually had happened, but I saw something. When I checked the area later, there was no evidence whatsoever of the beam having ever touched my floor. 2 days later, I witnessed one more anomalous event, which I believed may have been connected. And this time, my younger brother was also a witness. A pitch black figure, which appeared to be two-dimensional in a very humanoid form, quickly passed across the window and wall, which were directly in front of where we were sitting, about 12 feet away. The figure had no discernible features on its face, no clothing, and no hair. Just a round head, a human-like torso, were all we were able to make out. It was impossible to make a height estimate. It was for certain inside our house, not a reflection from outside. This sighting of this being lasted about 10 seconds, then it faded away. There was no logical explanation for what we saw. It was most certainly paranormal. I have seen a figure like that once before, and I'm certain it was the same nature. Now, recently, I witnessed a dark humanoid-like being that I saw flying in the early evening sky around 7:15 p.m. It had large wings that were shaped like a bat. I'd say that it was approximately 150 to 200 feet above me, gliding westbound very slowly. I reached for my phone, but it suddenly gathered speed and quickly zoomed off. I live near Chicago, Illinois, in Evanston, but the sighting took place while I was at a public storage located in Green Bay on Green Bay Road. I was with my husband and daughter at the time. Now, last night, August 20th, 2023, my husband and I observed a huge bright cylindrical object in the sky. It streaked above our property while we were in the backyard. The time was approximately 9:40 p.m. It was traveling too fast for a photograph. I found your contact information after searching Google. I then saw and read about the Chicago Mothman sightings. I have never heard anything about these sightings previously. I wonder if this winged humanoid was related to my previous experiences in Morgantown. Feel free to contact me. All right, Lon, let's get right to it. Was that another Mothman sighting?
Oh, probably. Very similar to what other reports we've got. You know, it's funny how she wrote in this real long early stuff. And I know she wrote in there about Chicago Mothman on the top, but I was wondering when I was going to get to it. But finally, she got to it. Do I think there's any correlation between those experiences and her sighting? I doubt it. But, you know, the fact that, you know, she saw it, then later had a UFO report in her backyard, you know. See, that's another thing we're trying to determine with these sightings. Is it UFO related? And of course, we have had some sightings of these beings where there may have been another otherworldly being with them, or a craft of some type was near them, around them. That's happened on several occasions. And you know, there are areas where we had people just seen what they consider a humanoid, let alone no wings or anything, just a strange looking humanoid. So I do believe it's what people have been seeing.
I mean, the fact that she's a person with multiple encounters is what I'm trying to say. I mean, do you think that early sighting of that weird light coming into her house was something that was how can you put it, a start to all of this?
Possibly. I mean, it's possible. I don't know. I mean, I guess it's possible. That's about the only thing I can say. But now, an interesting fact: this witness and the one on the next account that we had taken more recently, both are Hispanic descent as well. And you and I talked about this before, that over 50% of the sightings have been reported by people who are of Hispanic descent. It's just weird, but it happens all the time.
What about the idea that her incident with this Mothman creature she saw with her brother?
I don't know if that was a Mothman. I don't know what they saw. They might have seen a shadow person. I don't know.
Okay, but
yeah,
have these Mothman creatures been seen without wings, or maybe the wings were tucked back?
Yeah, that's happened many times. Yeah, many times they have been seen. People think they have a coat on because they have the wings wrapped around them, or they will notice the wings in the back because they're folded back. I mean, the wing size and descriptions vary. Some are on the back, some are attached to arms, some aren't attached to arms, and can wrap around the body. And there have been different manifestations of these things.
The idea that I mean, she follows it up with a UFO encounter.
Mm-hmm.
Is this normal, where people who have had these Mothman sightings find a next experience with a UFO?
Not necessarily UFO, but many of them have had other experiences even after their sighting. But there have been some UFO sightings and other humanoid beings as well.
Okay, so I'm just trying to piece it all together. I mean, because her instances are so spread out.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they, I'm going to contradict myself here. I don't think thinking about it, they don't have anything really connected to what is truly going on in this person's life. But I mean, to be a multiple experiencer of 4 different phenomena, that does seem interesting to me.
Yeah, but it's not unusual. I mean, I've had people who've had more. I mean, it just seems some people are attracted to activity, no matter what it is. Me, for instance, I mean, all kinds of crap happens around me. But things happen around me, but I don't notice that people talk about as well. So, I think some people are more attracted to certain energies. I think that's the reason why, in her case, that may very well be true as well.
Lon Strickler from phantomsandmonsters.com is here tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Lon, for this occasion, how many sightings of this Chicago Mothman have we seen in 2023 now?
Probably about 4 or 5. Hasn't been a whole lot.
That's not many.
No, I mean, compared to what we have had in the past, yeah, it's not many.
So what's the difference between, say, the sightings of 2022 and what we're seeing in 2023?
Many more fleeting sightings back then, where they got less of a view of the being as opposed to what they do now. Many people kind of focus on it and are able to focus on it as opposed to before. Now, we haven't had any photographs or anything, but the descriptions seem to be more descriptive or more detailed as opposed to what we're getting. I mean, back then when we were getting 2-3 a week, I mean, they were kind of coming out of shotgun style, and people were seeing it, making note of it, and then they'd call it in or text us or whatever. and they only had but minimal information where it happened, what they saw, and we didn't get a picture. A lot of it's been like that. But of course, we've had some that have been very detailed as well. But I'd say people nowadays, at this period of time, and I don't know if they're aware of it, but I don't think for the most part most of them are aware of the phenomenon. But it does affect them to a degree where they're much more detail oriented than they were before. And they seem to notice other stuff that happens as well.
What is that other stuff?
Well, just light anomalies, UFOs, paranormal activity near them that they can't explain. Those are probably the biggest ones. I'd say paranormal activity around them that they just can't explain. Things happen that have never happened before. That's kind of where this whole harbinger thing comes in again, because people are still obsessed with this, the Mothman being a harbinger. And of course, when they see something or sense something, and then they start having paranormal activity or other activity going around them, they blame the Mothman for it. That's just not necessarily the truth. It could be, but there's just nothing there really there to back that up.
Let's go to another story here that you have, and we'll probably end up continuing the questions afterwards. But this one is just as fascinating as the last one. And I should remind all of our listeners that they can read these stories and these accounts of people having these encounters right at phantomsandmonsters.com. Now, this is another observed sighting in just outside of Chicago of a red-eyed humanoid. I mean, this gets weird, Lon. I mean, here we go. It says a recent sighting of the Chicago winged humanoid in the Camp Pine Woods near Des Plaines River. And once again, it's northeast of O'Hare International. And the person who wrote this says, I was driving Thursday night at 10 p.m. This was just literally a couple weeks ago, September 7th, on my way back to pick up food in the Glenview area. Prior to picking up my food, I had a super uneasy feeling. I felt very brain foggy and just out of it. I wasn't really focused. I want to think it's stress because of working a 9 to 5. So, as I was driving along Westlake Avenue, I was listening to music and singing along to my favorite playlist. I really wasn't thinking much. I drove by the cemetery earlier on River Road, which I hate driving by. I started obviously feeling pretty spooked, like out of nowhere. I don't know why I was psyching myself out, but I continued to not pay mind to that feeling and kept singing along to my music. It was Lady Gaga, so I definitely was singing my heart out. So I kept driving, and as I drove by the forest on Westlake Avenue, I quickly saw a strange creature standing still on the right-hand side of the road. I wanted to believe it was a deer, but this thing I saw was 6 to 7 feet tall, standing upright. Deer don't do that. It had a dark gray cement-like colored body, and its eyes gave out the same red as a bicycle reflectors do. That's what made me look. When I quickly looked or locked eyes with it, my stomach dropped and I got so scared. The same feeling when you get when you're riding a roller coaster. I freaked out for a bit and I was thinking, keep driving, keep driving, keep driving. Don't look back. Don't look back. I quickly sped up to the coming light and intersection. I wanted to be around other cars and the intersection and more into the business and buildings. I kept telling myself, nope, that was a deer. That was a deer. You didn't see squat. I picked up my bonchon chicken and drove on the highway back home instead. I forgot about it, went to work the next day. I kept thinking about it. So I told my coworker what happened and what I saw. She's into paranormal and conspiracies and told me of the Mothman seen all over Chicago, especially around the O'Hare Airport area. So throughout my research, I saw the Google Maps sighting site and I had to reach out. Again, I never thought I would be doing this, but hey, here I am. Whatever these things are, I hope they're nice. Oh my. What's this about, Lon?
Well, it's pretty typical of what we get. People see it, don't understand it, try to put it out of their mind. Then they'll end up asking somebody, or they'll do some type of search on Google, and it'll come up, and there they are. They're reading about the same thing they saw. So of course they're going to report it.
You take these, and don't take this the wrong way when I say this, but you almost take these cases like when you're talking about, like, yeah, here we got another one. We got another one. Hey, guess what, Dave? We got another one. Like you take it so nonchalantly, and I don't mean that to be insulting or insultive, but I mean, is it to the point where you've got such a collection of people seeing the same thing all over this maybe 100-mile radius area, and nothing ever changes? There's no attacks, there's no fleeting glimpses, there's no clues, there's no footprints, there's no car scratches on cars, there's nothing going on. I mean, so how do you balance all of that?
It's just like anything else. I mean, look, I've been doing this a long time. And, I'm not going to use that as an excuse, but yeah, I still like getting reports. I still like getting something way out there that just kind of puts my hair on edge. But for the most part, people are seeing the same thing. And for me, that's good, because I have some type of reference to each sighting that is similar to the other one, and for the most part. And it just makes you more aware that there is something really going on. And after 168 reports we believe that are viable, I think there's something is truly going on. And, that's what we're trying to figure out at this point. It's an enigma, no doubt. We may not have answers ever. This thing may stop and just not show its ugly head again, but who knows? Well, why we do what we do? It's a mystery, and like I always say, it's the cryptid that keeps on giving.
No, I get that. I totally get that, and it's much like Christmas time with this thing. But for you, going through this, how do you how can we put this? How do you try and garner new information if the sightings are always the same?
Well, I mean, that's my job, basically. If I believe they're holding back on something, I will try to get them to talk about it. And many times that's just something else we can add to the story. That has happened a lot. There's a lot of variables with these encounters. I mean, it may read well. When you read it, it sounds all the same, sounds very similar. But when you're dealing with people in person, they're listening to them, their thoughts, and even their anxiety and such. That's part of the story itself, and that's what makes it unique. And I think we're at a point where we can almost take that emotion and that extraneous part of the story itself and add it to the story, and not feel bad about it, knowing that it's something that's part of what they're encountering.
That I understand. Lon, we have you for another 30 minutes here on Spaced Out Radio, and there is a lot more we need to talk about. I know there's going to be some audience questions for you coming up as well, but it is Halloween time, so once again, Lon wants to remind all of you that if you have any creepy, spooky stories, head on over to phantomsandmonsters.com and fill out one of the reports right there. Get into some juicy detail about what you've experienced, because Lon is one of the best places to report anything strange and weird. You can find all of Lon's books on Amazon, or once again, his website, phantomsandmonsters.com. Strange Days with our special guest, Lon Strickler, continues right after this. Stay tuned. This thing is moving, man.
Yeah, it is.
Moving. Hi,
I'm
LB.
holding up pretty good too. I'm kind of surprised, but
Well, I'll do that for you anytime, man. I'll hold you up.
okay.
How's your cat? I haven't seen your cat tonight.
He's over there sleeping. I fed him before we came on. That put him down for 2 or 3 hours, so he's good.
I have my daughter left her black cat here, and he's got that long fur, and he got all knotted up throughout the summer, and finally he's been allowing me to trim to get these knots out, and oh my gosh, I took off a piece the other day. It had to be 3 inches long, right?
Yeah.
But I can't, because he's a skittish cat. And you have to trim around their butt. You know what I'm saying? And he won't let me. So this is my dilemma with the cat. And I've tried giving him what's the cat pot stuff? Kitty litter, or not kitty litter.
Catnip.
Catnip hasn't worked. Just fires him up. He's ready to.
That's what I use for Vinny. It knocks him down. I don't know why, but it does. He gets super cool and he just flattens out. Like kitty crack.
Yeah, not for my guy. Not for my guy. He does the opposite. Instead of knocking him out, he goes on like some cocaine binge, and is like, all right, let's party. Let's do about 17 laps around the house in the next 30 seconds.
Yeah, well, that's cat.
Yeah, very true.
Vinny just turned 18 last month.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. How's the hauntings around your house?
There haven't been any around here.
Yeah.
No. Locally, yeah, maybe some. I got called into a couple local cases, but here, where I'm at, beside the cemetery here, no, we're okay.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah, honestly, I've been here now, over 5 years, and we haven't experienced anything here.
Nice.
So, which is unusual.
Butch still coming around?
Butch hangs around once in a while. I'll do my show, and I will sometimes have people tell me they see Butch back here in the hallway.
Oh, really, eh?
Yeah.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
That is.
Oh, he's hanging around.
Yeah, he hasn't. Well, as you know, we close out every show with his voice on YouTube, and haven't felt him around here. The studio here has been pretty clean lately.
No, I get I don't know what it is about that hallway. My wife shows up there too. So, I get people telling me either Vanessa or Butch are seen back there in the hallway while I'm doing the show.
How long since your wife passed now?
To November 2015.
That long ago, eh?
Yeah, it's been 8 years.
Wow. And you guys were together a long time, weren't you?
33 years.
Wow. 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 And she had to put up with your ass for that long, eh?
Yeah, she did. I got to give her credit for that.
How did you meet?
That's a funny story. I was going through a divorce, my first wife, and my mother and her mother were best friends. They worked together, actually, at Sears.
Oh, yeah?
And so my mom told me one day, she said, I was talking to Peggy the other day, and she said, if Lon just wants somebody to talk to, have him give Vanessa a call. I had never met her before. I never met her. And we got on the phone, we hit it off, and exactly a year after we met, we were married.
Beautiful. Lon, hold on. We got 10 seconds. Thank you to our super chatters. Louis ×2, Lala ×2, Kevin, Deb, Lord William, W. Decker, Nancy, and Gizmo. Here we go with the next half hour. We passed the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Thank you for joining us. My name is Dave Scott, the man who wears the most tinfoil that you know. I want to remind all of you that if you missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. We're on every major podcast network: Spotify, iHeartRadio, iTunes, Google Play, and every one of them in between. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and you can join the Space Travelers Club on Patreon right now. Here we go. Final half hour with our main man, Lon Strickler from phantomsandmonsters.com, as we head on over to a little monster talk that we call Strange Days. Happens every time of this month. Lon has all of his books on Amazon or on his website. Welcome back, Lon.
Great to be here, Dave. Thanks for having me.
Oh, we love having you here, my man. Love having you here. All right. Got any Bigfoot stories that you want to share with us? Any updates?
No, nothing really. All I can say is I haven't been receiving a whole lot of Bigfoot reports. I know Stan Gordon has been picking up left and right. He's been picking up a lot of stuff out in Western. It's been pretty active out in Western Pennsylvania for whatever reason. Some of my other investigators, Sean Forker, who you've had on the show, he's doing some investigations up his way. He's up in Williamsport. So, but this part of the state, other than us going down across the border into Maryland, it hasn't been a whole lot.
Why do you think that is?
Are
people seeing more, or are they? I
don't know. Yeah, I really don't know. I wish I did, but no, I don't. But we've had the only one that I had was the one up in, and I think we talked about that last time I was on. Maybe we did, up on the Appalachian Trail.
Yes.
Yeah. That was, I haven't heard back from them at all, but I believe they saw something. I mean, they mentioned that as a 10-footer as well. I don't know how they figured that out, though, because they got out of there pretty quickly. It didn't seem threatening. It's just one of those things. They woke up the shelter and they looked down into the woods, and there's a Bigfoot standing down there. Oh.
Weird.
Yep.
You know, with hunting
that was just above Harrisburg.
Why do you think it is that, you know, like up here, it's hunting season. Mm-hmm. Hunting season's been going on for just over 2 weeks now.
Mm-hmm.
Why is it, do you think, that we don't have a lot more hunters reporting Bigfoot or Dogman sightings?
Oh, we do. You know, I don't know. I think a lot of guys who have been hunting in the woods all their lives and had never seen anything like that, that's got to be a shock to the system, you know, especially in an area that you're very familiar with. And then all of a sudden, one of these things show up. I think most people in that case may be reluctant to mention something because of that. there's a lot of ridicule, and that plays a big part in it. I hear people all the time tell me, I just want to keep my name out of it because I don't want to hear all the crap that comes along with it many times.
I can hear you there. I can totally understand. Totally understand why. Once again, we're not going to be able to talk to you until just before Halloween. And what kind of ghost stories do you like to hear? What kind of ghost stories do you usually start getting at this time of year?
Well, like I said, a lot of it has to do with kids that are in college or in high school. There's a lot of young adults, a lot of kids that do write about. I don't know if it's just because it's the season or what it is. Is there an intrinsic reason why it happens this time of year? Maybe some people, maybe it is. Maybe it's, I talk about thought forms and my manifestation. Maybe it's something people just wish too hard for and something shows up. I wouldn't doubt that at all.
How come?
Well, the human mind's, pretty hard to figure out what happens in the human mind sometimes. And I think a lot of phenomena that people see or sense or realize are thought form manifestations or something that their mind is just manifesting on its own without them being conscious of it, and they think it's real. We've been talking about poltergeist forever, and that's what a poltergeist is, basically. Why can't it happen in the cryptid world or some other type of phenomena, even UFOs?
That's true. That's very true. I mean, why do you think it's more college kids that are reporting at this time?
I don't know. That's weird. I don't know. Their stories are usually pretty good, though. Some of these dorm haunting stories are really spooky for the most part, because most of the times you get more than one person involved with it. If one person's, if you're in a dorm and you got all these rooms, especially on your floor, and somebody on that floor has a haunting, well, everybody's going to know about it. They're going to eventually know about it, especially if this thing starts traveling around a bit. And many times we just get these really in-depth, unexplained encounters. And it's usually colleges. Some of the better well-known paranormal investigators spend a lot of time on college campuses talking to people.
Oh, they love it. Let's go to Android. He's got a pair of questions here. Any Goatman sightings? Maryland had a wave of Goatman sightings in the 1970s in the newspapers.
That area where the sightings were down at that the production lab area. We've had Bigfoot sightings down there more recently. I can't say we've had any Goatman sighting. Now, did the Goatman actually exist? I don't know. It just didn't happen in one area. These sightings were going on up in northeast of D.C. up into Prince George's County for the most part, around Laurel and Bowie, and even around the old Bowie racetrack. There were a lot of sightings back in there as well. So, is it a real phenomenon? Well, there were a lot of sightings. I know of at least 7 or 8, and I know others that weren't reported, but the local press, they kept a good tab of what was going on, what people were reporting, and it was interesting. And it was back in the 70s for the most part. But now we're in those same areas, we're getting Bigfoot sightings.
That is very intriguing. Very intriguing. And follow up from Android. Sasquatch hotspots within 3 hours of Gettysburg. Is that Michaud Forest? Catterson Forest?
Catoctin.
Or Catoctin? Thank you.
Yeah. Well, Micho State Forest is probably the hottest spot in this part of the state. I think EFRO named them at one point one of the top 10 locations in the United States. We've had a lot of sightings there. Tim has a research area up there, but it's been well known for Bigfoot sightings. And it's a huge forest too. It actually runs from just near South Mountain there in the Maryland lines north up into northern Cumberland County up around Mount Holly Springs. So it's a pretty good distance. So it's a big area. Catoctin is down in Maryland. That's down off of 15. That's where up in the area around Camp David. And there's some sightings up there. Cunningham Falls, Catoctin. There's a lot of areas within 3 hours of Gettysburg with Bigfoot sightings. Even here, we have reports just south of here and up north of here. So yeah.
All right, let's go to Amy. Has the Ring doorbell changed the game at all? I like that question, actually. Good question.
Yeah, and I have seen some things that those doorbell videos have picked up. Sometimes innocuous, but some of the light phenomena have been pretty interesting. Has it changed the game? I don't know. Maybe. I mean, maybe if we get a couple really, really interesting sightings that are documented and can be proved to have been documented on that. Yeah, absolutely. I guess it could be a game changer.
A lot of people are catching strange things on those. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I want to get back to the before we do that, let's go to Showtime or Shadow Time Writer here. How many personal encounters, sightings have you had over time there, Lon?
I've had 2. I mean, 2 that stand out. Of course, I had the Bigfoot sighting in 81, and I had my winged humanoid sighting in 88. Sykesville monster sighting in 81, and then up in just north of me, up in Conewago Township, I've had the winged humanoid sighting. Seen a lot of apparitions and such, but as far as cryptids, no, those are the only 2.
All right, I want to shift gears here back to the paranormal side, because we only got, we got lots of time. We got 11 minutes left, but the main reason why I want to do that is the main shift that everybody's going to be feeling over the next little bit, as we draw closer to Halloween, is hauntings and ghosts and spirits and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
And like you mentioned a little bit earlier about college students, they really seem to get into this subject at this time of year. And, every news outlet contacts their local paranormal team about the latest local hotspot for ghosts and ghouls and goblins. And it makes for entertaining times, shall we say. But there's a lot of people out there who take their story seriously, and they maybe figure, hey, I've watched these paranormal television shows. Can't be that hard what they're doing, So what is your advice to people if they want to bring out their paranormal story and start investigating?
I'd say the number one thing is, if you're committed to it, then go through with it. But be committed. Know what you're getting into. Just don't think that you can go out there and do anything you want, and there possibly not be any consequences. I tell anybody who gets involved with paranormal to learn how to protect themselves. Number one. That's it. That's the most important part of it. I also tell people not to provoke. I mean, nothing burns me more than hearing somebody going into a location start yelling at whatever they're yelling at to show themselves, or show me a sign, or this and that. That stuff really, that drives me crazy. But no, I'd say if you think that you've got the right stuff to do this type of thing, I'd say if you're committed to it, if you don't believe, if you're not in it just to make money, which rarely any of us do to make any money, but I think having a very strong commitment to it.
Do you believe then that this time of year there is some sort of veil that gets thinner that opens people up to the paranormal encounters?
Yeah, I think it's possible. I mean, people put out a lot of energy, and they, what they put out can make changes. I think some people are maybe on that level that, they get more attuned this time of year, and they may start doing things. Things might show up for them, might, become, I don't know, it might just show up, and, they get a glance of what they've been looking for. But I don't know. I don't know. It's hard to say. I think I think it is possible that things kind of open up a bit this time of year. This time of year's change anyway, and I think the hope plays into a lot of that, and it being a spooky time of the year, and people like to talk about the unexplained. I think it very well could lead to more activity.
What do you want people to know about the paranormal? What would you warn people about?
That's tough. I know what I'm into it for. I know what a lot of other people are into it for. They just want answers. I want answers. I mean, stuff like this has been bugging me ever since I was little. When you're little and you see a Bigfoot on TV and you're thinking, what the hell is that? And you listen to people talk about being abducted, and you start having questions. And I guess many of us grew up in a period of time where those questions were new, and it was interesting to see it talking about on TV, like in Search Of and shows like that. And I think we were kind of groomed into it. I don't know if many people nowadays are groomed into it. There's a lot of people that like instant gratification. So if they think they're going to go into a location and do investigations and things are going to start popping up in front of them, no, well, that's just not going to happen. I don't care how damn good you are. It's just not going to happen. So, any encounters that I've had were never planned encounters. That's just the way things work.
We got you for 5 more minutes here, Lon. And sticking with the paranormal side of things, let's go to Android here. From your experience of researching, is there something to the 3 a.m. witching hour?
I've known people who swear by it. I'm probably not even awake by that time for the most part, so I don't really know. I think after, I kind of consider after midnight to that period of time may be the most, they talk about the witching hour. I think there's just more energy after midnight for whatever reason. That's just the sense I get. There may be something to that witching hour thing. I don't really know what it is.
For me, I think it's because everything is quieter. There's less signals.
Yeah.
There's less monitors. There's less computers on. There's less energy in the air. So that way, that spooky type of energy can start crawling through.
Yeah, I get that. I understand that. Yeah, that's possible. You know, some people can go in at any time and just they feel it when it's the right time. They can sense things are going to happen. I just don't know about 3 a.m.
Do you believe then, or let me ask you this question. Here's one that I've never asked you before. In regards to, you know, I'm sure you over the years have handed out candy to hundreds of children who come to your door yelling trick or treat. And it's always a cute thing, especially when the little ones come up. I think that's what I enjoy the most, is watching the toddlers who, you know, their parents are going to eat their candy, but watching the little toddlers in their dinosaur outfits or whatever come, you know, waddling to the door, and they don't even say anything, but they're just too damn cute. But have you ever seen kids in costumes where you're like, dude, you have no idea what that costume even means, and you really shouldn't be wearing it because of you ever had that happen?
I've seen some outrageous things before. I don't know if it's been to the degree where I kind of reacted like that, especially coming to the door. I don't know. Yeah, but I can imagine some things people have seen.
There wasn't one that stuck out for you?
No, not really. You know, handing out candy, that was kind of my wife's thing. So you know, if there was something that she would comment if it was something that she thought was inappropriate or something very strange. Now, she would definitely say something.
Yeah, I could see that. You know, around here, because there isn't a lot to do. It's funny because you'll see the 17, 18, 19-year-old kids still trick-or-treating in our area.
Oh, yeah.
And I think it's great, you know, because, you know, they kind of, I don't see a problem with it. Even if I had like a 35, 40-year-old couple coming up to my door getting treats on Halloween, I think it'd be great. You know, because I don't think it's a day just for kids. But
Yeah.
let's get one more question here from a Spiritual Odyssey. What do you do to protect yourself when you investigate the paranormal, Lon?
I use a couple of things. I use white light, golden light to surround me, extend my aura. That's like a mind manifestation exercise. It's not hard to learn. I mean, anybody can do it. It's pretty effective. I use crystals just in case. I usually keep black tourmaline or two around me. I keep some others as well. And, you know, there's material and stuff I keep around me all in all, but those are about the biggest things.
Where can people find your books?
Just go to phantomsandmonsters.com and they'll be listed there. Or go to Amazon, put my name in, it'll come up. I've actually got 2 audiobooks up there now. The Alien Disclosure book and the Mean Humanoid book can be found on audiobook now.
I love it. And what do people find at phantomsandmonsters.com?
What do they find?
Yeah.
A whole lot of confusion. I don't know. I guess, yeah, I just like what people tell me. There's a little bit of everything for anybody, you know. If you feel like going through the archives and going through all 8,000, and I do have to trim that down occasionally, all 8,000 plus accounts, then you're welcome to it.
Love it. Lon Strickler, it's always a pleasure to have you on Spaced Out Radio each and every month. And the good part about it is we get to talk to you right before Halloween, and I think that's really exciting. So thank you again for coming back on Strange Days with us.
Okay, Dave. Well, thanks for having me back on.
Always love Lon Strickler here on Spaced Out Radio, the bearded legend of the cryptid world, and phantomsandmonsters.com. When we return on Spaced Out Radio, we're going to head to Steve Stockton from Among the Missing for another creepy story. Then it's our UFO report. Little Timmy Senor, our resident Timbit, returns from the sickness shelf to bringing you the UFO news. Great work, Lon. Great work as per usual.
Thank you, dude.
Always appreciate you, my friend. Thank you for the love, man. Time for you to go to bed.
Yeah, I got to get some. I got some X-rays I got to take in the morning. So, yeah.
Well,
Okay,
thanks.
Dave. Well,
Good luck with that, and sending you some love and healing, buddy.
you take care.
Bye-bye.
Mhm.
Lon Strickler, everybody. I'm going to disappear here for a couple of minutes. Friggin' hot in here. I'll be right back, guys. Going to open a window, too. Don't go anywhere. We got like an hour left. All right. We're going to have fun this last hour, guys. Little Timmy Senor is here. He's coming off the DL after a weekend of sickness. Hello, Overbuilt. How you doing? Who else did I miss here? Anybody? Anybody? Oh, Dewey Cheatham. How you doing, buddy? Good to see you. All right. Big thank you tonight to Cat Chaser, Android, T-Bone, Louis ×3, Lord, Debster, Kevin, Nancy, W. Decker, Lala ×2, Mike, and Gizmo for the great super chats. It really supports what we do on a nightly basis. So thank you. Join the Space Travelers Club for as low as $5 a month. The link is below in the description on the YouTube side. And if one of our wrenches could put it up, it would be great. Otherwise, it's cheap. $5 a month. Joins our club. Hi, Selena. How are you? Thank you for coming on in. And you can do some shopping at spacedoutradio.com as well. Plan for May 10th through 12th, 2024, the third annual fan party in Reno, Nevada. Here we go.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Dave Scott. Always appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Pilot is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and you can now join the Space Travelers Club on Patreon. It is that time of the night where we kick off hour number 3 with Steve Stockton from the YouTube channel Among the Missing for another creepy story.
Hello, friends. Welcome to Among the Missing YouTube channel on Spaced Out Radio. I'm Steve Stockton, and I'm about to take you on an unbelievable journey of people just like you. Their stories and encounters will haunt us on Among the Missing. Next, we have the case of Chris Fowler, who disappeared October 12, 2016. 34-year-old Chris Fowler, trail name Sherpa, was completing his NOBO, or northbound, through hike in Washington on the Pacific Crest Trail. On October 12, 2016, he was dropped off near the trailhead at White Pass, Packwood, where he grabbed a coffee before he headed toward the Canadian border to complete the last 366 miles of his hike. Unfortunately, that was the last time he was ever seen alive. His last cell phone ping was in that area near White Pass around 5 p.m. Considerable amounts of snow and freezing rain fell over the next few days. Authorities and volunteers searched much of the trail between White Pass and the Canadian border, yet no sign of Chris was found. While official search and rescue teams under the Yakima Sheriff's Department did an initial search along the PCT from White Pass, in addition to flyovers and road searches, after the initial search, they focused primarily on the area surrounding Blowout Mountain, the location of an unconfirmed sighting by 2 bear hunters on October 22nd. 3 years later, in 2019, Yakima County search and rescue volunteers again conducted multiple searches, led by Sergeant Randy Briscoe. Fowler said another 15 to 20 volunteers formed what she calls her team behind the scenes, a coordinated effort dedicated to combing through the areas they know well. But again, nothing was found. Given the severity of the storm, Chris had made it to Highway 410 at Chinook Pass, 28 miles from where he started at White Pass. He could have pulled out and sought refuge in town, albeit very cold, wet, and tired, as all hikers were that bailed off trail during that storm. Since he didn't do so, though, it's believed he went off trail somewhere between White Pass and Chinook Pass, 28-mile section. How far off trail is the question. Some consider any sightings from mid-October or later and any search areas north of Chinook Pass, like Blowout Mountain, to be bogus. Did Chris just succumb to hypothermia on the PCT that October? As of this recording, we have no answers. Next, we have Christopher Stephen Sylvia. He disappeared February 16, 2015, from Warner Springs, California. Chris Sylvia was hiking southbound on the PCT from Anza to Campo. He started his trek near State Route 74 in Anza on February 12, 2015, and planned to hike for at least a week before contacting his friends to pick him up. On February 16th, he called a friend and asked to be picked up the next day at the Buddhist temple on Chihuahua Valley Road. Sylvia's roommate went to the designated spot at the agreed-upon time, but Sylvia never showed up. At first, his roommate just assumed he had decided not to go to the temple after all. Search teams from Los Angeles, Orange, Riverside, and San Bernardino counties searched in vain for 4 days before bad weather forced them to suspend the search and rescue operation. On February 20th, another hiker found Sylvia's gear, including identification, sleeping bag, and backpack, laid out alongside the Pacific Crest Trail near mile marker 127, not far from Mike's place. Despite a large search effort, Sylvia was never heard from again. Chris was described as an experienced outdoorsman, and his mother stated it would be uncharacteristic for him to go hiking alone or to leave his gear behind. When he disappeared, he was known to be wearing a dark-colored fleece jacket, green camouflage print pants, and brown and black hiking boots. He had brown hair, hazel eyes, a mustache, a tattoo of Asian symbols on his side, and a goatee at the time of his disappearance.
People who just vanish. Kind of freaks you out, doesn't it? And that's why we listen to Steve Stockton from Among the Missing each and every night. And if you want more, just head on over to youtube.com/Among the Missing and get tons of stories just like those on Steve's channel. From the missing to the mysterious, it's time to bring in little Timmy Senor, our resident Timbit, and the UFO report.
Nobody's gonna know. They're gonna know.
Well, it's good to have you back, Tim, after you were ailing last week and had to take a night off in order to get yourselves and your wits back together, but it's good to see you looking healthy at least. How you doing, my man?
I'm getting better. Still a little under the weather, but I've been, I'm back at the wheel. Let's just say that. So good to see you too, man. We matched. We're both wearing blue.
Powerful man. Powerful man.
Yeah.
You know? But, yeah, it's exciting times right now, and a lot of good things happening in the world and in the UFO world and everything. You know, after the drama we had a couple weeks ago with, Jaime Maussan and the NASA stuff, it took, I took the weekend off. And let me tell you what I did, Tim, because I know you'll like this because you know kind of where I live. We went up to do some looking around in the forest, me and my buddy Mike. And usually I'm the loud mouth because, I got a big mouth. I do. I like to talk a lot. And I always take harassment from my buddies who hunt about how loud I am. Right? So here we are. We're out hunting. And I don't hunt. I'm just the spotter kind of guy and the driver. Because I just enjoy being out in the wilderness. And dude, I see this I'm going to say between 300 to 350 pound bear, big black bear, big male. And I stopped my Jeep and I said to Mike, I said, bear. And he's like, where? And I said, to your right. And he's like, where's the bear? And he forgot that his window was open because I was going to film this. I was going to put it on our YouTube channel and everything. And as I'm reaching for my phone, he's like, where's the bear at? And the bear pokes its head up and just launches out of that area. Like it was like, these damn humans are around. I got to get the hell out of Dodge quick. So what did I do? I took the Jeep up to try and find him. And we were sitting there going at about 10 miles an hour, thump, 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 and we get to the crest of the hill that he was on, and the bear looks at us again and is like, nope, no coming over here, boys. And he took off again into the trees and didn't see him again. But man, was he big. Big, big boy.
Yeah. Bear harassment. That's what that is.
Total
Just
bear harassment.
Bear harassment. Did you use your bare hands going after that bear? No, you know what? This is good. This is Sasquatch training is what it is. And I know Mike well, and you're in good hands. I know your Jeep well, and I know you as a driver up there. And it's fun. You're a nutbag. This guy, you guys, he will go anywhere. It doesn't surprise me that he just took off after this bear chasing it. He says that if there's a Sasquatch out there, he's going to chase towards it. I'm like, let me out. I'll film it. But there's no way. I would, you're nuts chasing bears, this guy.
I love bears.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
they love you. You look delicious. And you know what? They love Timbits. And you eat a lot of Timbits, don't you?
I don't eat a lot of Timbits. In fact, I haven't had a Timbit since you were here.
Oh, now you're making me want a Timbit. This is great.
Well, you deserve one, and you need to have one. And all I'm saying is that if you were here, I would enjoy some Timbits with you.
Good
I
days.
would.
That was a lot of fun. But yes, that's cool, man. And so, did you get some footage of this big guy?
No, he was too fast.
Okay.
He was way too fast, so we did not do a thing with him, but that's okay. That's okay.
How did Mike feel about you driving after the bear?
Oh,
I know Mike pretty well. He was in. Okay. All right.
Oh yeah, he loved it. I'm like,
He
come on,
literally riding shotgun.
Yeah, I'm like, come on, buddy, we're going after him. He's like, yeah, let's do it. And
that's great.
Yeah, we caught up to him, but he took off way too fast.
He wanted nothing to do with you guys. Yeah.
They are fast animals.
And this was a black bear, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah, black bear. Big black bear.
You wouldn't be chasing no grizz.
No, but I'll tell you, there's something exciting about when you're driving through the forest and you see something just big and black, and your eyes immediately go to it. And I don't know, I get all excited when I see a nice wild animal. It's like, woohoo, there it is. There it is. Doesn't matter whether it's the bears or the wild horses or a moose or
nature.
Even a deer. I don't care. It's all worth it. It's all worth it.
I saw a lot of that while I was up there visiting you. Fortunately, no bear. I wasn't eager to meet Yogi up close and personal. Boo Boo, maybe, but Yogi, no thanks.
But you did get, let's be honest, when you were up here, you did get a really, really nice look at some wild horses.
Indeed. Oh, we got drone footage even of wild horses, didn't we?
We did.
Yeah. We got, they were gorgeous. And that was, wild Mustangs. Wow.
Yeah.
That's something else.
Awesome.
It was
pretty awesome. Well, enough of the lovely nature talk here. We do got to get to some UFOs while we're here. And let's start off with Britain is now urging the UK government to get into the UFO task force game. What's this all about?
That's right. And supporters of them getting into it include people that are pushing for this to go into the Ministry of Defense, believing that it needs to restart its UAP investigations and establish some sort of task force and hold the MOD accountable for UAP, like the U.S. Congress's Armed Services Committees in both the Senate and the House. And so representatives have alleged that defense personnel relied on lazy, pessimistic, and, quote, if it can't be, so it isn't mentality, potentially missing serious foreign threats to UK territory. And so a former British UFO Research Association investigations director, Philip Mantell, believes otherwise. And so Mantell claimed that the MOD has repeatedly claimed that no UFO or UAP sighting ever indicated a threat to the UK. And so as a result, they are of little significance for the defense. And so the MOD is not interested. And so a UFO task force would be pointless to create at this time. And so it's looking like it's a little bit back and forth right now. And they consider the fact that in the past, Mantell claimed that the MOD repeatedly claimed that no UFO or UAP sightings had ever been indicated as a threat, right? And so that is what is highlighted here. The same thing that we're getting here, because we know that even recently here in the United States, the Secretary of Defense, Lloyd Austin, is trying to undermine Schumer and his UAP amendment, telling anyone who will listen that it would potentially hurt national security. And even Representative Mike Turner has similarly tried to kill the amendment and block the congressional UAP hearings after Grush's July testimony. And so we also know that Senator Mark Warner has tried to shut down the possibility of any UAP hearings in the Senate. And so we're seeing pushback from all sides. Now, hopefully, the UK will get some attention on this topic. And we know that even people that have historically had cases are looking to push this topic in the UK. And hopefully it won't get pushed back like we're seeing right now in the US.
You know what I'm seeing is we've seen the British government really dodge this UFO question up and down the road here and not wanting anything to do with it. In fact, I recall it was about a year and a half ago where in the House of Lords, the opposition party brought up the fact of UFOs, and the defense secretary wanted nothing to do with the topic, saying we got way more issues to worry about than non-stories like the UFO subject.
That's right.
And then we have like the British MOD coming out and stating that there is a large proponent to these craft and these mysteries that are flying in the sky over there. Never mind just from Rendlesham, but other places as well. And, you really have to, wonder why they are so staunch in their cover up. Even, I'll just say it. I mean, because the story's public, but the royal family is huge into UFOs. The late Prince Philip, the husband of Queen Elizabeth, his uncle watched a landing on property in one of the palaces way out there, and they said that this alien got out and looked like a farmer with overalls and everything, coming out of the craft. I mean, whether that happened or not, I mean, we're going back 100 years when that had happened. But I mean, just the idea that there is a staunch belief, even by the royal family, that these stories and these incidents are taking place. And apparently, when Prince Philip died, he had quite a collection of UFO books from around the world. So for them to sit there and pull a NASA and say that we don't believe in any of this, we don't want to talk about any of this, is a little ridiculous.
Well, we know that they made their mind up back in 2009 when the MOD shut down its UFO desk, and none has ever taken place since. There's been no reopening of any kind of task force, because before that, it conducted a UFO investigation that was very classified and in depth at the time, and it supposedly looked into more than 10,000 potential sightings that took place over decades. And many of those were, in fact, reported by personnel and military personnel. And the so-called Project Condign investigation concluded that 81% of sightings could easily be explained. And so 19% were caused by covert military aircraft, of which then that left 1% of origin unknown. But the MOD acknowledged that there will always be UAP and that any unexplained are probably just a quote unknown kind of plasma and not to cause any kind of alarm. And so the MOD has repeatedly maintained that no sighting of a UFO has ever indicated that threat that we keep kind of seeing underlined here that gets the attention politically and definitely from the government when it comes to national security, at least from us.
But the question is, why are they so scared of the topic? Why not? I mean, I don't believe for a second that the UFO group that they had in the MOD, the Ministry of Defense, has officially been shut down. I mean, they may say that it's been shut down just for publicity, but I mean, we heard that in the United States as well, that all of these groups were shut down, but they never really were. I mean, look what we've learned about remote viewing, where that entire project was allegedly shut down after the Cold War. But now we hear that it still continues, that they're still training remote viewers. And, we have a guest, Paul H. Smith, coming up in a couple days, who did a lot of that training for the U.S. government. And I'm excited to speak with him regarding this. But Tim, I mean, they never shut down programs. They just move them and retitle them. We've seen it many times before. That's what power brokers like the United States and the United Kingdom do. Okay, when people get too close or too many secrets are getting out, they have this ploy where we're going to shut this down and we're going to announce that we didn't find anything. It's a waste of money, but we're just going to tuck it under the Department of Energy, or we're going to tuck it under this ministry instead. That's what they do.
Or,
okay?
and I hate to say it, they hand it to NASA and ask them to create a task force and a study.
Right.
And that can be very frustrating when that task force has no background or even fundamentally agreed on what the topic and subject matter is.
I have to be very careful with what I'm going to say right here, okay? And I'm going to keep it very, very bland. But I know for a fact up here in Canada that there is a UFO desk that is completely being hidden from the Canadian government right now. Completely being hidden. And this falls under the direction. Let me just check my phone here, because
Well, what would a desk like that serve if it's not being run by the government?
Well, they don't want people to know. They don't want people investigating, especially people who are on a time limit, like politicians. They don't want those people to know what they're working on. Okay.
I have a new term for you. I was looking at this. What do you think of UFOlitics?
Love it.
I mean, it just seems like there's such a politics to ufology, and just blend them. Ufolitics rolls right off the tongue.
It's a beautiful thing, isn't it? It's a very, very beautiful thing. But I'll tell you, the funny part about it is, and people trust my word on this when I say this, there are so many hidden UFO groups out there right now that are competing to try and track these, to get their latest trackable innovations and radar technology up and running, to try and get these UFOs, UAPs, whatever you want to call them, tracked by radar tech. We don't even have a count on how many are doing that right now. And the governments, their agencies, they know all about it. When we return on Spaced Out Radio with Little Timmy Senor, we're going to head off to Brazil and then UFO shapes. Do they mean anything? Spaced Out Radio right after this. Oh, hey, Clam. What's happening? Hey, Philip Blair, how are you, man? I like that. Ufologics.
Ufologics. Indeed.
Politics.
I put that together earlier when I was like, I wish I could just say no ufologics. I'm not interested.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really not interested in ufologics. Do you like Tom DeLonge?
I love his music.
Well,
I think there's two Tom DeLonges.
right.
No, hear me out for a second.
Okay.
There is the incredible musician, okay, of Blink 182, that their music just, would I go see Blink 182 in concert? Absolutely. Okay. I think they are incredible. And I'm so glad that he's back with Blink 182. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know Tom as a person. Okay.
Right.
So I can't answer that second part. But from what
Well-
what I've heard about him and what I've learned about his stance on UFOs, I don't like it.
Well, check this out. He is a director now, and he has a show coming called Monsters of California, and you can actually pre-order it. And it's a story about, and I'll just read you the synopsis. It's called Monsters of California. After discovering research left behind by a missing government agent, Dallas Edwards and his misfit high school friends embark on a righteous and dangerous adventure to uncover a paranormal conspiracy in Southern California that brings them face to face with some of government's most guarded mysteries. Sounds like it might be a little slice of his own, I don't know what, but he's got actors and it's like, it's a full-on production. So,
and I hope he does well. Okay. The one thing I will give Tom credit for is Tom has brought a lot of public notice to our subject.
definitely.
I don't like the way he did it. Okay. I think that his in your face, what if I told you crap grew old really quick. The pressless press conference and the way that he had the I'm better than you TTSA. I don't agree with that. I think that was quite insultive. And I think unfortunately it set a standard where people in ufology, I'm not saying the experiencers, but I think the people in ufology got a real slap to the face and continue to be slapped to the face by scientists, by researchers, by ex-fighter pilots, because we allegedly don't know what we're talking about. We don't know what we are doing in this field. We don't have the brains or the capacity to separate real science from the woo, which I think is malarkey. Okay.
Yeah.
And and Tom set that standard, okay, with the TTSA. And I don't appreciate that. And the fact that, if Tom is so staunch that all aliens are 100% evil and that we got to put nukes in space because they're afraid of our nukes, blah, 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 blah. Okay. If you're an experiencer, Tom, tell us. Tell us your experience about why all aliens are bad. Okay. That's like saying all humans are bad.
Right.
I'm not saying there isn't bad ones here. I'm not saying there ain't bad aliens here. Okay. We've heard the descriptions. We've heard everything that's happened to people. But I don't think that every one of them is pulling the wool over our eyes, trying to hide the fact that, they're playing nice to our faces, but when they knock us out, they've got a lot of nefarious meaning to it. I don't see it that way.
Yeah. How do
But
you
I
feel?
hope you guys.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to change subject.
Okay. How do I feel about what?
I'm getting an echo. Sorry. If you guys are getting an echo, I apologize. How do you feel about Steve Barone and Clive Christopher?
Don't know them.
Steve Barone is an independent filmmaker that films a bunch of UFOs and posts them and captures them like above Nevada and stuff.
Oh, okay. That's
well,
right. We got to
yeah.
go. We got 3 seconds.
Cool.
Here we go with the final half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate broadcasting to all of you around the world. Reminder to all of you that if you've missed portions of this show or others, you can always check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. You can also check out all of our podcast format on Spotify, iHeartRadio, iTunes, Google Play, and every podcast network in between. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and you can join our Space Travelers Club on Patreon. Here we go. We have Tim Senor and the UFO report continuing here. And we're going to head down to Brazil once again, Tim. What's going on down there?
Yes. So in May of 1986, actually, Brazil's Air Force minister addressed an issue on UFO. And he convened a press conference in Brasilia to recount a peculiar event. 5 fighter jets had been deployed to chase 21 unidentified flying objects, and despite their best efforts, the jets failed to catch these elusive entities. Years later, this captivating narrative surfaced in a public report, and anyone with internet access can peruse it via Brazil's National Archive. And so, interestingly, NASA's recent focus on UAP has drawn global eyes to this archive that's recently and always been available, but is recently being looked into, compiled by the Brazilian Air Force for over 6 decades. The record is extensive, and it specifically holds 20,000 pages relating to 743 incidents from 1952 to 2016. And so the U.S. has indeed followed suit with this investigative journey, and NASA named a director to lead the research on such phenomenon. And so, remarkably, Brazil took a similar approach back in the 1960s, commanding the efforts with a military officer who helmed a special unit stationed in São Paulo. And so these UAPs and UFOs, as we're calling them, aren't necessarily from other planets. They might well be drones, weather balloons, or even natural phenomenon. Brazil, a country rich in cultural beliefs, has been cautious in linking UFOs with extraterrestrial life. One incident does stand out and has been labeled as the official night of the UFOs, and that occurred in 1986. The Brazilian military wrapped up their investigation by describing the objects as solid and showcasing intelligent movement. And so, Dave, it's really important to bring up the fact that Brazil has always had these case files available to the public, and just now the Brazilian Senate is showcasing it and trying to push this forward again in South America and trying to bring this topic to light, that there is in fact credible investigative history that people can look into.
No, and I think Brazil has been a very silent leader all along that we've kind of ignored for some reason. I mean, there are so many strange happenings down in Brazil, and I don't know why we focus on it, but we always hear, Tim, and I don't know if this is conspiracy theory or this is actual reality, but I have heard so many stories, and of course they're anecdotal. They're people from people who know people type of stories that we get a lot of in this field. That there always seems to be some sort of American type Delta force going down there because of all the UFO activity and extraterrestrial activity that seems to be going on down there. Jody Cook from the North American Dogman Project has a couple incredible stories regarding that, including getting contacted from people who heard him as a guest on this show. And this is going a few years back. But I mean, I don't know what it is with Brazil, Argentina, Peru. They seem to have so much high strangeness going on around there regarding the aircraft that are being seen in the sky that look very anomalous, okay, UFOs or whatever we call them, okay, to alien contact, to these little villages being haunted and troubled by some sort of extraterrestrial species, not illegal gold miners who wear jetpacks. Sorry, it's not them. That is still the greatest excuse I've ever heard, by the way, next to swamp gas. But I mean, what do you think is going on down there? What seems to attract all of these strange happenings down there, man?
Well, I think the transparency that the government has shown with the cases that it has, whether they're military or public, shows the fact that they're willing to discuss it at least. And the fact is if they've been collecting these since the very beginning, then we know that at least a handful of them, even if it is 1%, could potentially be extraterrestrial. Now, I know they don't like to connect the two because of potential religious beliefs, but you and I both know that 1% could potentially be that ET uh, case. And so the fact that we have all of these to look through, I think is great. Now, I grew up watching, sci-fi and stuff like that too. And I remember there was one in particular that, kind of hearkened to the concept of there being a secret base in South America somewhere. And I'm not sure if it was Contact or a film like that. But something like that definitely could take place simply because it's so easy to hide potentially in the jungles. Now, we also know that the water and the oceans and lakes and things like that are also potential hiding spots if this is a real presence that's trying to hide itself. So there's lots of places for it to hide if it wants to there. Now, we know that some historical artifacts have come from there. There have been a lot of historical crashes, and now we even have mummies that could potentially have been found in Nazca areas. So I'm not saying they're real or not, but we know that South America historically has a lot to do with this subject.
And I agree with you, man. I agree with you. I mean, the question is, when can we get something that is provable? Because everything that comes out of there, take for instance this latest incident in Peru, where those mantid like beings were said to be attacking villagers. I mean, that was a hot story about a month ago, and it was fun watching it. It really was fun, getting those updates on Twitter and everything that was happening down there. It was exciting. And then it came out about the illegal gold miners wearing jetpacks, and that's what the
Yeah.
aliens were.
Yeah. And just like the Las Vegas story with aliens that have landed, I feel like it does hurt the topic, and it definitely, takes eyes off the ball. And so it's frustrating when we get false claims of extraterrestrials and big things like that, because these are big, big claims, and we know they're probably not true, because that's just not how this phenomenon tends to work. And
But,
so,
but Tim, 1 second here though. You just made me
sure.
think of something. I mean, could we maybe not value the stories and the encounters that are happening down there because we don't get good film. It's like we have all the good cameras in North America, and they're still using an iPhone 3 down there to
Yeah,
record.
no, they sent a team down after, and there've been reliable sets of eyes on that location, same way the Las Vegas story had reliable eyes in there to vet the story and interview and do a deeper dive. And unfortunately, each time it kind of pans out to be something mundane or just nonsense or, something to scare people or hype, right? And, even with the recent mummies, they could be 1,000 years old, right? But they were probably a representative of something, that somebody had made, potentially. This is just my theory, but it's interesting that they were made because they were created to look like something that potentially they saw. So, there's always something more to the story. And, this is just one more little strata to everything. I find it all very interesting, but it's distracting from the real topic, which is we need the science, we need the evidence. And until we take it seriously and stop getting nonsense in the headlines, it's just going to keep floating and there'll be more ammunition for them to kick this topic back and not take it seriously. All they need to do is point to any of these headlines for them to say that, is this what you want us to be considering when we're trying to put a budget together to fund a task force? It's a little bit disheartening.
All right, let's move on to our final story of the night about the shapes of UFOs. This is an incredible type of story that we're picking up here because, a lot of people see a lot of different shapes flying in the sky, from black triangles to black boomerangs to orange rods to silver orbs to, the classic disc shape. This is a story I find very interesting, Tim.
Me too. And as I was reading through it initially, I realized that it was missing one fundamental part. And that is that it didn't have a subcategory here of UFO and UAP. And you and I have kind of designated and delegated those two out, whereas one is probably mundane in ours, even if, it might be weather phenomenon, but it's something explainable and not UFO. Whereas UFO is something that moves oddly and is probably from somewhere else. Now, I almost considered this part of our talk almost a game, like UFO or UAP. The answer we'll never know. UAP or UFO. But shapes in the sky are interesting, and UAP sightings have been reported in various shapes over the years. And so there's a list here given to us from newspaceeconomy.com. And so the research is showing that a disc or a saucer is perhaps the most iconic UAP shape, often described as a flat or circular object with a dome top. However, sightings of disc-shaped UAPs have become less frequent in recent years. And so, Dave, feel free to stop me at any time here.
No, you keep going, man. I'm listening away.
All right. I hope my scratchy voice isn't bothering you. So, secondly, they have a classification here of a cigar or cylinder. And the cigar-shaped UAPs resemble elongated cylinders or tubes. And they're reported less frequently than other shapes, but have been observed on occasion. So, thirdly, in this list, we have the triangle. And so triangular UAPs have been reported relatively frequently and often with lights at the corners. Now, these sightings sometimes correlate with military aircraft, such as stealth bombers. And I'll just add a side note here. Sometimes have been reported in groups and with other little orbs flying in unison with them. And that comes later in this article, but I probably won't get to it. And the next is sphere or orb, which is a spherical or orb-shaped UAP, and are reported fairly regularly and would be considered the highest reporting when it comes to UAP. They can be solid or translucent and are often described as glowing or emitting light. And so elongated or oval UAPs also are reported, some being described as resembling an oval rather than a perfect circle. And so these can often be egg-shaped as well. And these sightings are relatively common. Irregular shapes. Now, this is a category that's non-specific, obviously, but they are described as amorphous or potentially constantly changing in this bracket as well. Now, these are less common but have been reported, such as objects that seem to morph as they're being viewed. Now, other shapes have been reported. Witnesses have reported a wide range of other shapes, including diamonds, boomerangs, and they're often less common that change shapes throughout the sighting. But these are considered more fringe cases. Now, it's important to emphasize that the relative frequency of the shapes can vary by region and time period, which is interesting. And so a lot of the sightings remain unexplained or lack sufficient evidence to determine the nature. And so a lot of the sources here are Reliable UAP News Center, Black Vault, Mutual UFO Network, MUFON, and NewFork for what we just discussed here. And so, Dave, the shapes are important, but along the way, we can definitely see some of these can fall under UFO and UAP. And it can be so hard to distinguish. Perhaps the only way to distinguish is in how they move, right?
Well, I mean, we also have to remember that a lot of what people are seeing, especially when it comes to orbs, if it's way up in the sky, unless you have a psionics camera or binoculars that you can zoom in on, your phone isn't going to do it justice. I'm sorry, your phone's not going to zoom in, but you don't know what you're looking at. You may be looking at 3 different lights that are blending together, or more lights that are blending together from an actual sort of silent craft. Okay. I mean, Tim, you saw that when you were up here, when we were conducting an experiment, and you put your psionics camera up above because you saw a bright white light, and the minute you zoomed in on it, you realized that it was a craft, not just an orb or a fairy or something else flying by. Right? I mean, we have seen things like that before. Just you can't tell with the human eye what it is. You just can't. I mean, I can understand where the orbs would be something that is highly questionable, right? And if you don't know anything about, and you don't have to be a brainiac about it, but if you know a little bit about aeronautics or what's flying around your house, do you have an airport around your house? What kind of airplanes fly there? Is it helicopters? What does a helicopter sound like? What does a Cessna 182 sound like? What does a Hercules aircraft sound like? Or if you live by a military base, what do the different jet fighters sound like? Because an F-15 sounds different than an F-16 compared to an F-22, compared to an F-35. So you have to have, a little bit of research just kind of clarifies a lot of this knowledge. But if you have something that is flying over you silently, like these orbs or these black triangles, you probably are seeing something that maybe you're not supposed to see, or maybe you're supposed to see it, but other people aren't, especially if you're in the middle of nowhere.
That's right. And you also, now with cell phones, we have the technology to rule things out. We have apps with satellite trackers and star maps and things like that. But, just to finish the thought that you had there, the reason that we knew it was something else was because it turned into a ring of lights, immediately slowed down and started coming down in the forest. I mean, Dave, when something like that happens, and then you're creeping into it's definitely not.
You just told me some news I didn't know.
That's how we knew it was something special.
Okay, so 2 minutes left. You open the can of worms. You got to tell this story.
That was literally it. It was the light that you just described, that we captured on psionics, and it just kind of slowed down and turned into a ring of lights right in front of us on our cameras.
And of course,
came down into the forest. You called it down. You were,
Is it over? Hold on a second. Did this come over top of us?
Well, yeah, you were in sensory depth at the time. And you had said bright white light at the time that I was filming the bright white light. So yeah, it's going to be fun.
I didn't know that it came down.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And I was hanging out with Sam describing it and filming it. And yep, we had, I think Mike was over there with me too, because you'd sent us away.
Well, you know what? It is that time of night when we see certain people enter our chat room to say, hello, how are you? To all the agents and agencies out there at this time who are tuning us on in. Give us a call sometime and let us know how you're doing. We don't need to give you the number because you already have it, you know. And remember, some of us can be bought. Some of us can. You know, we don't know who, but some of us could be. You never know. Everybody's got a price, just like Ted DiBiase used to say. Remember the $1 Million Man in wrestling? Ted DiBiase.
Oh, yeah. No, I didn't watch wrestling. Sorry, buddy.
No,
Good stuff.
Beautiful.
This has been a good talk, man. Thanks
look at
so
Ross
much for inviting me.
You're in my Rolodex. Oh, I believe that, Ross. I believe that.
Should have him on speed dial, this guy. He knows so much.
Say hi to NSA guy and random guy for us, if you don't mind.
Double wave for those guys.
Double fist pump. Waves. Tim, it's been a great show.
Thanks, buddy. It's been fun hanging.
Thank you for coming on in and telling me something that I experienced that I didn't even know. I appreciate
You're gonna see it soon. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I believe I will. It's gonna be awesome. Oh, I can. You know what? I gotta say, Tim, without saying anything, I'm gonna be very vague here. I cannot wait for to be able to explain to our audience what we did. I cannot wait.
Yeah.
And it's going to be amazing. We put things on camera, people, that are not supposed to be on camera. And you can thank this guy right here, little Timmy Senor, for making it happen when it does happen. Thank you, Tim, for a great UFO report. We'll see you next time. What a good show. Tim Sedor breaking some news. Lon Strickler, another great guest. And Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god of self. Special thanks to everybody listening in at work, at home, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, LGABs, Facebook, Spreaker, LinkedIn, the Space Travelers Club, and on Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. I know you're out there somewhere. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends, we're watching. We own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo train has docked for the night. But soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we got room for them too. Good night. Human Carl, I didn't even see you sneak in with that super chat. I apologize. I would have totally asked that, man. Very sorry. Very sorry, Human Carl. Oh, I feel bad. Now I feel bad. I never like to miss anything from Human Carl. Apparently, I missed another one from Forrest Louie. Sorry, Louie. I missed another one from you, too. All right, let's close that up. All right. I'll tell you the story so you guys don't feel a little led on, okay? I'll tell you the story. Tim, don't kick my ass for this, okay? But I'm going to tell him the one story. I know you're in the chat room right now. Give me a thumbs up if that's okay. Just the one. Okay. Thank you, Tim. Okay, so we were having some experiences in the forest that were totally unexplainable. And at this time, we had decided that I was going to go under the Estes Method to see what I could pick up, and Merle would be asking me the questions. And so what the Estes Method is where you wear a completely blacked out blindfold. You cannot see anything, so your eyes are deprived of any type of light. And then when you put on sound deadening earphones that have a radio signal going through them, so you hear like the tick 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 tick. And what's supposed to happen there is during the Estes Method, somebody will stand away from you where you can't hear the questions that are being asked. And they're going to ask you a bunch of questions. And allegedly, you're going to repeat the answers from the, I don't want to call it a ghost box because I don't think that's what it is, but from the radio signals that you were getting. Now, the beautiful part about where we were is there is no radio signals. We're in the middle of nowhere. And so I sit on this log and I'm waiting for something to happen because remember, I've never used this before or anything along those lines. And Merle allegedly, I'm assuming, started asking me a bunch of questions. 1 second. Free information for sponsor anybody. And
That's probably
on the make sure there's no commercials. Raised on how many people
going on.
One of the words with what the this that everything there.
It's ridiculous.
But
I take everything the most sense.
Any others. Funny part of what happened in this moon, and we decided, and then 30. That's it. That was it. At the. All right, cool. That's what I thought. Okay, so anyways, back to my story. So I'm sitting on this log. I can't see anything. I can't hear anything. And the only way I know that we're getting started is somebody taps me on the shoulder. And that's how I know we're getting going. So Merle apparently starts asking me a bunch of questions. I'm not hearing them. There's no voices coming across, nothing. But after a few minutes, I started seeing this really bright white light, like right there in my peripheral vision while I'm wearing this blindfold. Now, you got to remember, I'm wearing a blindfold that's blacked out. I can't see a thing. Okay. I can't hear anything. I can't see anything. But I kept getting this really bright white orb of light at the side of my head. So this one time, this happened a couple of times, and I was getting frustrated because I wasn't hearing anything. And I really wanted to provide answers for Merle, but there was no audio coming through at all, no voices, nothing. And I remember getting frustrated by this, and I finally spoke up and I said, "Look, guys, I'm not getting any voices whatsoever, but I'm getting pictures of." I said, "I keep getting this white orb right beside my face," and I said, "It's so bright, it's actually making me squint." And I guess at that point, when I was announcing when it was happening the next time, Tim put his camera, his psionics camera, up into the sky, and there was a white orb of light that was there. And as we learned tonight, and I didn't even know this, that orb of white light turned into a ring and started coming down towards us. And that's all I know. I saw the white light. Not the light you go to and, it's that time. No, not that white light. But I saw a white light. And Tim was able to capture it on camera. And that is the orb story. What do you guys think? Hi, Moody Mogul. How are you? My brother Eugene. How you doing? Definitely was not that type of go to the light. I've done that. Cool. Yeah, it was pretty cool, man. It was pretty cool. Now, I did see a couple other things during this session. One of the things kind of scared me. I kept on seeing alien gray faces, which I'm used to. Okay, I kept on seeing while I had the blindfold on, I kept on seeing like alien gray faces, just like this guy here popped right up into my vision. But the one that scared me was I started seeing reptilian eyes, and they were just like a crocodile brow of that green, like bright green, dark green, yellowish green, and then the eyes were, reptilian type, but they were like really orange, and they had the straight up slits like that. Derek, I didn't hear what happened to Jeremy Corbell. So that's what I was seeing, which was quite interesting. The rest you got to wait. Because apparently what I'm hearing is there's a lot more stuff that happened on tape that we didn't know. Every video he's had has been the smoking gun. Yeah, it's almost time to bring Paisley Town back. Little Cam. I love Paisley. She's amazing. Dave totally got aliens, Susie B. Paramarv could be. No. They were two separate, Nikki. Two separate. Wham Bam Ham, how you doing? Cat Chaser, I'm trying. I've messaged him a couple weeks ago. Funny part about it is Jeremy has my phone number too. He knows how to get a hold of me as well. I like Jeremy. I do. May not like his videos, but I like Jeremy. Susie B, we were doing the Estes method in trying to communicate with whatever the hell that was. That's what we were doing. And I'm going to tell you, there was a lot of shit happening out there. And it's been really, really hard for me to bite my tongue. Really hard. Thank you, Cat Chaser. Thurston Howell III, how are you? We got an incredible show tomorrow night. Both Olaf Phillips and Alan Greenfield will be here. And we will be going over the Secrets of the Black Lodge. It's a brand new book. It's been out for a couple of weeks, and they've got some real strange inside secrets to it. So that's going to be kind of cool. All right. Good luck, Derek. And for the rest of you, big thank you tonight to Louis ×4, Gizmo, Lala ×2, Mike, W. Decker, Nancy, Kevin, Debster, Lord William, T-Bone, Android, Cat Chaser, Human Carl for the great super chats tonight. If you haven't already, for just $5 a month, if not more, you get to choose. You can now join the Space Travelers Club on Patreon. The link is in the description below. We'd love to have you there. And I'm going to say goodnight here, people. And you guys have a wonderful night. We'll talk to you tomorrow night with another great show coming up. See you then.
Stay healthy, my friend.
You too.
You need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.